Hello, welcome to Escape from Tarkov. This is the first time I'm launching the game just because I couldn't really play in the weekend and I saw a lot of bats. Anyway, let's not get into it. Now, there are two types of people playing Escape from Tarkov. People who love the game. Well, I guess three types of people. People who love the game, people who hate the game but still play it, and people that are defending the game for whatever reason. They might love it or hate the game, but they're defending it. So, let me read you my review for the game, which is on Steam, and it's negative, of course. The game is sitting at about 31% positive on Steam, which gives it a mostly negative out of 20,000 reviews on Steam. So this is probably a new record. Well, I guess some of the free-to-play games have more, but again, this is probably the most expensive game to get so many negative reviews. So let me read you my review and then we'll go into it. By the way, I'm an older player of the game. I'm a veteran player. I've been playing the game for about 6 years, and this is how I feel about the game currently after going through so many years through the game. Remember, it's not just about money versus hour of content, because hour of content I probably have 1000 hours, or I guess it depends, I'm not sure. We'll see in the game. I definitely remember playing a lot of the game. And the biggest issue is that even though the game right now is pretty good, it's not as good as it should have been or could have been. I think the game is kind of stuck in the 2020 era loop, right after they introduced the flea market. So after they introduced the flea market and the hideout, the game was probably in the best condition it was ever in. It was a little too easy, but flea market plus hideout probably the best wipe experience of the game. So let's get on to the review. I've been playing Escape from Tarkov I'm reading my review on Steam for about 6 years, and BSG is the new EA of gaming, and they are even topping them off with some of their extreme grid and lying. So basically the developers promised a lot of stuff and they delivered on all of it. Again, it's not about content or the general feeling or immersion. It's not even about hours played versus price paid, because that's something else. It's about getting invested so much into a game and then feeling like you're betrayed. It's the worst thing. Whenever you play 100 hours of a game and you just put it down, that's okay. But when you go above the 100 hours of the game and still play it, then you really start to get invested into the game. So that's why most of us feel so cheated and betrayed by Battle State Gaming. Okay? They under-delivered on the promised stuff, on the promises. The worst part is that they say by Age of Darkness Edition it will contain all future content, and this is the big problem I have with the developers. Otherwise, well, we have a lot of other smaller issues, but Age of Darkness Edition was promised as the edition that will contain all future updates and content. It didn't do that, and they actually have a lot more content that you cannot get. You have to either buy it or just watch Twitch or do some crazy stuff. I don't even want to get into it. So what did BSG do next after they said this? They added more content that you have to pay for, and they promised Steam keys, but they delayed the Steam release for about 5 years in my opinion, because they could have easily released the game on Steam once they had the hideout and the flea market, because that was the final, let's be honest, the final version of the game was when they introduced these two elements, flea market and then the hideout, and then they're just playing around with stuff. They made some maps bigger, they added some maps that people don't play, but that should have been the version that should have been released on Steam, and people would have been super happy with it, but they didn't do that. So they delayed the Steam release for about 5 years just to milk the game. We'll get to that later. So now we have a super expensive edition called Unheard Edition that is even more pay to win than Age of Darkness. And the developers made a lot of exclusive skins via Twitch, subbing to streamers, events, or other nonsense, which is another problem. Again, if you promise all future content with Age of Darkness, then that really means all future content, including the skins or some of the dog tags or some of the way the bands look like the armbands. So yeah. So basically anyone who buys the game is pay to win, obviously. And you might say, well, it's not pay to win. No, you know what pay to win is? Pay to win is a thing that when you pay real money in a game, you get an advantage over other players. So do you get an advantage in the game by paying more money than other people? Yes, you do get an advantage. Not only do you get an advantage, but you get kind of superpowers, because imagine that you'll be able to take out more items from a raid than other players simply because you paid more money. That's so nonsense in my opinion. So basically anyone who buys the basic version of the game will be fighting 5-year veteran players with more expensive versions of the game that will give them huge advantages over basic players. To give some context on what the pay-to-win versions have, they will allow players to have more storage from the start, allowing them to store all of their guns and quest items. They can buy items from traders much faster than you. Yes, much faster, meaning they will have a few quests ahead of you. And some of those quests are so hard that sometimes you'll be stuck for a week trying to do 2 or 3 quests just to be able to get more reputation from a trader, to be able to buy more of the interesting stuff. It's kind of crazy how the developers designed this, but it was clearly designed with this in mind. So yeah, they also will get more starting items like more and better guns. They'll have more secure slots, and they can keep even more items when they die. This is also something that's not really talked about. The starting gear is much better with the other editions, the expensive editions. So the Unhurt edition will even give them more pockets, which is another big thing, because if you have more pockets and a bigger container, that means you need a lot less space in your backpacks and your vests and so on. So again, this is just snowballing into effect. So veteran players with very expensive versions of the game will steamroll other players, plus when they die they don't lose as much, and they can progress the game even if they die 10 times per day, while normal basic edition players or newer players, they die 2 times, that's all of their stash gone. So yeah, basically Tarkov is one of the best games to scam you, unless you buy the most expensive edition of the game. And then you plan to play the game for a full year just to learn it. Other issues will include that the game didn't really get any quality of life updates, meaning they don't have an in-game map. They have a compass, which is useless, but I think they should have added an in-game map, because you know what most people do? They have a second map on the monitor. They have I guess they have basically a map of the zone, and then they will have a very detailed map of the zone as well, because they will switch between them. And then some people will also have printed their maps, yeah, so they'll be looking at real-life maps with the loot, with the zones and stuff. And there's no way that newer players can learn all of this. It wouldn't have been so bad, but they just decided to add a lot of quests and a lot of locations, and this is just very, very confusing to the general players, because they basically need to watch a tutorial, have a map opened, and also listen to a guide to understand what to do in most situations. And let's not even talk about the extracts, because the extracts are so obscure when you look at them and you don't know where to go and you need a map, and it's just unbelievably unadapted to the real life needs of many people. So yeah, you might learn a map or 2 or 3, but then you will also have to do more quests on the other maps. So basically the players which will be stuck on the lower tier maps, let's say like that, will have nothing to do for a very long time, because to get the reputation to the traders and to advance the story, you need to do so many other things. This is kind of like a snake eating its own tail. It's the legend of the Ouroboros. So newer players will just run around in a circle, consuming what they find in other raids to bring in other raids. Basically, an endless cycle of getting gear, losing gear, getting gear, losing gear, and not really learning anything in the process. If they had more pockets, if they have more space in their containers, if they had more advantages, yeah, that would have been easier for them. But yeah, again, it's a much bigger discussion that I don't want to get into. I could probably talk about this for hours. Also, the game is not complete in my opinion. The original vision for the game is very different than what we have today. The original vision for the game was supposed to be a PvE intensive game where PvP can be optional, but the game is fully PvP, meaning it's kill on sight, and I just don't understand this. Yeah, sometimes you can speak with the other players, but most of the times you'll not get anything out of them, because, I mean, no negotiation like saying I'll go there, you go there, or don't shoot. And I guess in the rare occasions you'll get some cooperation between the player, but they never went anywhere with the PMC system, with the karma system, with the system of players working together and extracting, with the players working together with scavs or scav players. Again, there are so many systems that were never really explored, or they didn't even bother to implement some sort of system where the game really felt as immersive as it could be. It's just a fantastic gun game with extraction mechanics, a very good shooter, a very good looter, but not the immersive gameplay experience I was hoping for. And this will seem weird, but some people will just have different expectations, because the streamers will say, hey, I just need wipes, and other people will say, I just need a fast way to get money, and other people will say, I just need a lot of PvP. And yeah, it's very hard to please the entire fan base, especially because the Escape from Tarkov game right now is basically catering to everyone, while not respecting the original vision for the game, which was basically to escape Tarkov. They had a series of movies. Well, yeah, they're movies, but it's a series. I guess you can call it Escape from Tarkov had a movie or had a prequel movie where they explain what happened. And it's amazing that they spent so much time and effort to build the world and then they just didn't care about it anymore. I mean, in the series you see scavs cooperating, PMCs again. It's not what it's supposed to be. So, to give another example, Arc Raider does a better job at being Escape from Tarkov than the actual Escape from Tarkov. What do I mean by this? Well, in Arc Raiders, that people really understand that you don't really have enough time to play the game so much that you learn every map perfectly. So they just went with people cooperating sometimes, with the PvE being so strong that they need to cooperate in some situations. When you die, you don't lose as much, and when you select a free loadout, you actually can play the game. It was never made very clear why do you have the scav on cooldown. That's another thing I don't understand. They could have just made the scav be always available, but you only you cannot put the stuff you get with the scav on the flea market. I don't know, just modify some other stuff. So in my opinion, the best thing would have been to be able to do scav runs anytime you like, but the items you obtain from the scav runs can only be sold at 50% off to the fans. So meaning if you have an item that is let's say 100,000 rubles, you can only sell it at 50,000 rubles to the fencer. And you also get a karma system where you have to help and be helped by other people. A lot of things could have been done to improve the cooperation between the players, so the game is not purely a kill on side game, but they never did anything with that. And Arc Raiders did a lot of things by expanding all of this, plus the free kits, plus the time to get into a game, plus the way the player work. Because right now, if you are a player, you enter a map, and after about 10 minutes, scav players will start spawning, and they have nothing better to do than just hunt the other people and kill them. Because it's a game where a single shot can kill you. This is also a bigger problem, because there's no reason to cooperate when you can die so fast, and most people prefer to kill other people, because if you kill a player, you'll get their loadout, and if you get their loadout, you can just extract with your scav and enter with your PMC, and then you'll have a much better loadout. So many things could have been changed, but nothing was done to prevent all of this. The developers insisted on creating other stuff. Okay? These developers broke all of the promises just to make the streamers happy and to fill their pockets. And remember, kids, BSG has been repeatedly accused of selling cheaper keys to cheaters. So every time they ban a lot of cheaters, a lot of copies for the game are sold mysteriously. And this is also another thing that was hugely speculated over the year. Why don't cheaters get banned more often? Why don't cheaters get banned faster? And how do these cheaters keep buying their way into the game? Because the game does sell a lot of items for real money, but they wouldn't make a lot of money unless they can buy the game super cheap. So there have been a lot of speculations, and I think most of the community members who are actually aware of what's happening have come to an agreement. We don't have any evidence, by the way, we just know for sure, because that's how it works. We just know for sure that a lot of cheaters are buying their game keys very cheap in bulk, meaning they buy, let's say, 100 keys or even 1000 keys at a time for a very cheap price, so they can afford to get banned repeatedly. Because otherwise, I don't understand, if the developers are banning thousands of people every day, how do new cheaters continue to appear? It must mean it's more profitable for them to buy a cheap key, sell items for real life money, and then come back to the game, which killed the game in so many instances, to the point where the early game is very fun, and then after a week, everyone almost... Well, there was a notorious video, but to put it bluntly, I think 1 in 4 players in Escape from Tarkov is cheating. That's my own opinion, I don't have any evidence, but that's how the game works most of the time. So yeah, 1 in 4 players will cheat. It doesn't mean that you'll always encounter cheaters, because cheaters will actively avoid you, because they can see you wherever you are on the map. But sometimes they'll avoid you, but sometimes they'll kill you, but other times they'll just leave you alone. Plus, sometimes the cheaters are hunting high loot areas, they're not hunting players, but it really depends. I'll not get into that discussion, but just know that 1 out of 4 players will be a cheater, but there are so many types of cheats and so many types of gameplay, or so many types of decisions to be made in the gameplay, that some people will not even notice they are being killed by a cheater or they are being avoided by a cheater. Okay? And also, the developers are insisting a lot on people buying and playing Escape from Tarkov Arena, which 90% of the players don't like. This is another very big discussion point, because the game is not supposed to be pay to win, right? But why are you getting free items in the game from Tarkov Arena? they're basically, in a way, kind of blackmailing people or some players who are very hardcore to play Escape from Tarkov Arena. And then some of the items will be transferred from that game mode to the Escape from Tarkov game mode, which basically penalizes you if you don't play that game mode as well. So, I don't know. It's such a huge mess the way the game is designed and played right now. This could have been so easily avoided. But again, it's just the developers insisting on having a lot of control over their intellectual property to the point where they have monetized the game so much that I think at the height of the prices, you probably needed... I don't want to say what the price for the full game was, but you would pay also VAT or the tax. So basically when you buy the game from their sites, when Unheard Edition was launched, you paid hundreds of dollars for it. And now, some people will be playing Arena, some people will play Escape from Tarkov, some people will be playing the PvE. So basically, what they have done with the PvE mode and some of the other stuff I don't want to mention, they have basically split up the player base so much between all of this that basically some people will be playing Arena, some people will be playing the PvE mode, some people will be cheaters, and then there is you or the new player. So imagine that. With who are you playing a game? You're playing a game mostly with the cheaters or mostly with the streamers or very... I guess this is also the new category of... Let's just say that this is also a very often encountered category of player, the veteran player, which might not have a lot of knowledge of the game, but he knows how to play, and that's a very big thing. For example, take me. I know how to play the game on certain maps to the point where I can get the loot extract with almost my eyes closed, and well, I still need to practice that, but imagine you're up against a player who can basically loot you and extract in 2 minutes. While you will have a lot of you'll have a lot of problems just figuring out what the extract is. This creates a lot of problems because the player base is split so much that newer players or just people who want to play only Escape from Tarkov on a slow pace will just be confronted with cheaters, exploiters, campers, people who get free items from Tarkov Arena, people who are using the Unheard Edition or the Age of Darkness Edition. Anyway, you get the idea. You'll be hard pressed to find a player base that is more divided than this. And all of this will just punish the newer player completely. This is all designed to push the bottom players even more to the bottom by the 10% of the people actually playing the game. In a, well, let's not talk about that because it's another bigger discussion. So again, why would you even bother wasting this much money and time to play the game? Because even though money is not such a big problem, the problem will be the amount of time you need to invest into the game to actually learn a single map or to learn how to play the game properly. So what happened to the game? Why did BSG forget their initial vision for the game? I guess greed. There's no other way to say it, greed. I would have been more happy if they would have just sold cosmetics, even though they technically are not allowed to sell any cosmetics because they clearly promised all content will be contained in the Age of Darkness edition. But again, they'll probably sell more skins, they'll probably sell more DLC for Arena, they'll probably sell more DLC for the game, probably they'll sell more codes to the cheaters, presumably. They'll probably sell more stuff to the streamers, they'll probably sell... You get the idea. They'll probably at some point just allow you to make custom servers if you pay them a lot of money. They'll probably go the Fallout 4 version where they will sell everything for money, which will annoy every player in the game because that's not why we play the game, that's not why we spend so much time learning the game.
Okay, it's nothing.
Как же заеба... Ой, не нравится мне это место.
Бля. Кроем сектора, внимательно.
I think I'll just like play with Sergey because you can use VoIP if you need to communicate with other people. Yeah, we'll use that. So basically my review for the game and why I hesitated so much in playing the game, plus all of the launcher issues, all of the times you cannot play the game, all of the ping issues, all of the... Also, they haven't improved the way the game looks in a very long time, but the game has been more and more demanding with each update and every year. Basically, when the game was released, you could play it on a potato PC. Now that same potato PC will not even let you play the first 2 maps, which is another bigger discussion. The game needs a lot of RAM, the game needs a very good GPU. The game basically needs a new computer to be played. So you're basically playing a 10-year-old game on a very good modern PC. That doesn't make any sense to me, by the way.
The Norvensk region has forever changed the moment it was turned into an open economic zone. Both Norvensk and Tarkov became centers of international partnership. One of the most influential corporations on the global stage, Terra Group, has established its regional headquarters in Tarkov.
Okay, the game is very much like the real life. The developers know what real life is and they put it into the
Even
game.
back then, it was obvious the old world was on its way out. In Tarkov, the corporation was actively acquiring land and absorbed local businesses for the sake of its revolutionary projects. Virtus in
Yes, a lab.
That's what
Hidden
they
labs.
used to say.
Which are proven to be true, by
Terra
the way.
Group's influence in the city grew rapidly. It
Exactly.
wasn't long before they started showing interest in restricted government facilities, a move that couldn't go unnoticed by domestic security agencies. In order to protect their enterprises, Terra Group hired a foreign PMC, United Security. USEC personnel began blocking access to Terra Group's facilities, and even the government authorities no longer had a full picture of what the corporation was doing within Tarkov's borders. Eventually, a team of investigators was sent to the local headquarters to search the building and compile a report. But the USEC operatives refused to let the law officials through and opened fire. After that incident, a new force appeared in the Norvensk region, PMC Bear. Their main mission was to expose and gather evidence of Terra Group's illegal activities around the world. At first, Bear's operations and their clashes with USEC forces were limited and isolated, but the tension escalated quickly. It was too risky to fully involve military forces to maintain order due to the region's special status. The UN forces and Russian military blocked all routes in and out of the city, and the UNTAR mission began evacuating civilians. But despite the authorities' statements, the situation in Tarkov was no longer under anyone's control. The conflict between Bear and USEC evolved into an all-out armed conflict. Marauders and bandits, soon nicknamed scabs, only made things worse. For several years, both PMCs fought each other, each carrying out orders from their respective command. Before all this, Tarkov was featured in the world's top financial news. And now it shows up in the combat logs of the contract wars. But it didn't end there. Terra Group's local headquarters became Bear's primary objective, withstanding multiple assault attempts. During one of those raids, something happened. An event that split Tarkov's history into the before and after.
The EMP. This is amazing. See, they spend so much time, money, and effort with the movies, with the lore, the trailers, to just give you a great immersive game, but they ruined everything with all of those things I mentioned in the beginning. Wow. Plus, the game really looks outdated at this point, but you need so much hardware to run it. It's another advantage some people have. I mean, if you have a great PC, you'll just be better off playing the game. Because the more FPS you have, the quicker you respawn, plus the ping and some other stuff. Let me see what graphics I got. The game looks so super bad over here because we need to change the graphic options, but we cannot. Continuous medkit, no, that's very bad. I guess we cannot change anything. At least I want to see clouds quality. No, thank you. For the quality, yeah, you also needed a guide to be able to make your graphics, which is crazy because, like, I guess you're playing like this. Yeah. So much to learn or relearn. So the story has you waking up in the headquarters of Terra Group. What is that thing? An Uzi, it's so big. What color is my dog tag? Yeah, let's search everything. I think the experience will carry over, so there's no reason not to do this. Man, I really need to change my FOV as well as some other stuff. Yeah, I need to look at all of this, plus the sound effects and some of the other stuff need to be modified as well. Quick slots, all is shown. All is shown. Head bobbing is off. FOV is max. So they also reduced the max FOV. I think the max FOV at some point was 90, but they decided to reduce it. You can write entire books about all of the changes that changed Tarkov for the better or for the worse. I don't think you can write the tutorial. This is the tutorial, which is great because it gives you a raid without risks. It also shows you that you can just get items from the world without them being in a container. Also changed a lot of the missions. They changed a lot of stuff, but I think the game is way too easy for people who know how to play the game, but also super hard for people who are just starting. I mean, look at this. New people know how to do this. They don't even explain this stuff to you.
Всем выжившим мирам. После взрыва электроника вырубилась. Повторяю, связи нет. Операция отменяется. Отходим к точкам эвакуации сами. Двигаться с соблюдением осторожности. Кодовое слово «вода мокрая».
Water is wet, and winter is cold, and fire burns, right? Salt. Yeah, not to mention that all of the streamer items they added over there really kind of ruins the immersion, because some of them are really streamer items on the face, and you really see they're streamer items. It was a very strange explosion indeed. This is not actually a map, it's a modified version of the map. I don't think we can explore most of it. Okay, now let's enjoy the game for what it is. I'll probably not have enough time to play it too much anyway. Sorry about that. My microphone has some issues. Okay, so if I press the microphone button for too long, it doesn't shut off the microphone, as it did. Yeah, we don't need this stuff. Okay, we also know this is not a survival game. You don't rip them up for bandages. Okay, let's just do the rest of the map, because you get to keep everything you get from this raid, plus the experience. So, let's kind of get into the groove of the game and let's min-max a little bit, just a tiny bit. Remember, the key to have success in the game is to actually progress all of your skills, all of your character stuff. 624 hours. I feel like I have more for the game. I'm not sure if it counted all of them. Probably did. But believe me when I say that an extra 400 hours were spent outside of the game looking at maps, looking at at the quests in the videos, reading about the game, reading about patch notes, waiting for the game to patch, waiting for the game to start, waiting for the game to update. Just believe me when I say that I have over 1000 hours in the game itself. Also, a lot of people, including me, are most upset about the skills. I think they should have went along with the skill system Because you know what it means when they gave up the idea on having multiple skills? Some people say, well, it's not good that you have so many skills because the game is basically a shooter. No, no. I think the developer should have stuck with all of the skills they planned and even into 2 small skills. Why do you need the skills? Because you would get progression every mission, plus you'd specialize even more, but the developers cut out a lot of skills and reduce the impact of some of their skills because they want the players to wipe their own progression, which is silly in my opinion. I guess a lot of people still do it, but come on, I just wanted to play the same character for a very long time and slowly progress, but now, because of the way they did the skills, there's not much point into leveling up the skills. Some people just level up endurance, strength, vitality, stress resistance, metabolism, perception, and a couple of other things, and that's it. And then they'll just stop playing the game. There's no reason for you to focus on pistols, for example. There's no reason for you to focus on cover movement, for example. There's no reason for you to focus on light vests. I mean, this is so annoying that they basically removed the biggest part of the game. Like crafting and hideout management could have been big as well. No, I don't know. This is one of the things that probably bothers me the most about the current state of the game. They just threw away the skill system almost entirely. Even though this was one of the biggest attractions for me in the game. Because this would have allowed the players to play the game at their own pace and way without losing too much progression. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you had the proper skill system and the skills would have mattered more and they would have added more skills and more systems over here. Wait, do I have a flashlight? I have a flashlight for the gun. Then people could have played the game at their own pace and at their own way, but now it's nothing like that. Push to talk is K, I have to change that as well. It is for the flashlight, okay. Control game on, looting everything I see. Cola and Snickers, or Slickers. Is it Slickers? It's Slickers. This would have been so much better if the developers just kept to the original vision for the game. It's Slickers. Some update. Hydration, yeah, you had all of these wonderful survival mechanics that are just thrown out of the window. Plus they had a lot of skills for temperature. Well, I guess they should have had skills for temperature and sound and stuff, so probably the developers planned a lot more survival elements that were quickly scrapped in favor of the wipe type of gameplay where you don't really care much about your skills or some of your other stuff. That's what kept me away from the game for a few days. Well, also the problems with the game itself. There's plenty of loot over here as well. Oh, we have 20 minutes to do the raid. I guess we should hurry then. There's a LEDX presumably somewhere in the game. It has a proper gun. What is this 3 slots? I guess this is a walking K, not a magazine stick. Take. L, Shift, and T. Also, they had a very complex malfunction of the weapon system, but I guess now it's just Shift and T. Well, I don't know. I completely forgot about it because I never used bad magazines. That. The mechanic where you drop your magazine if you have... Oh, yeah. Check magazine. This one is full. We can search this one. Okay, now just focusing on getting a lot of experience because I want to kind of catch up on other people. Probably I'll not be able to do it. Minus 3% ergonomics, which is kind of funny because this was not in the game previously. And yeah, the gas mask also should have been an item you use in the game for chemical attacks or for special zones. You could have went the Stalker way and I think people would have been more happy. But again, they just went the shooter wipe version of the game, which... not what most people would have liked. I know most people, if you ask them, yeah, they want the wipes, they want the stuff, blah blah blah, but it's not really that engaging. And I also think they shouldn't have made the wipes so enticing. Because people feel obligated to wipe... get me? Wipe their accounts. We need this PSO kind of badly. Let's go with you over there. I know there are scavs in there. But there will be very bad shots. What? Malfunction? Are you joking me? Wow, I thought they couldn't really shoot at you or kill you, but... man, that... what was that all about? What? From that distance? Come on. The game can be so annoying sometimes. Also, where are my... oh, I guess that's a heavy bleeding. I completely forgot all about these mechanics. Yeah. The weapon is jam, but how do you remove the jam? Okay, apparently you can die in this. Man, the graphics are so bad you can barely see the scabs. Usually you don't play with stuff like this. I don't want to use up that medkit. But you can shoot a weapon. Inspect. Oh, you needed to do that for rats. Yeah, we'll just fix the head and the arm. Pinpoint accurate scav. Cannot see anything in that distance. I just want to loot in peace. Wow. Sure. Yeah, if we die, we die. I don't care. Fuck my legs. Probably don't need all of this stuff. Oh, that's... well... I guess you can throw away most of this stuff. Probably a bad idea. Okay, that scav has a lot of extra loot. I mean that PMC. Oh. I think we killed it. I guess you can do it like this, and then... Oh no, the ammo is pretty dangerous. I shouldn't do this. Yeah, I'll probably not find the LEDX either unless I look up a video on how to find it. That's a nice side gun. Actually not that nice, but I guess I'm kind of used to worse weapons. So these are the two skills that were holding hands. This is the one that shot me, because only with this gun he could have done so much damage. Yeah, I should probably get an S-March over there as well. I just like searching scavs, because this will give you a lot of experience. This is so slow. Ah, this is killing me. Just use all the Tushonka. The screws over there. Here's my extract. How are you supposed to know these things, by the way? I guess you just know. Yeah, I could have looked at the video to see if I can find that LEDX, but I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Just try to find it. If I don't find it, that's okay. I have all of these weird effects that are not really explained. Wait, can you take that? Where is it in my inventory? I don't see it. Yet. Guess we're just lightheaded or the pain, or I don't know. Pretty much. Everywhere I could. Why is that scav not dead? And if they kill me, I'll blame the scavs. So that doesn't start automatically now? Vitamins? Where's my health? My health is okay. I guess the pain is the problem. Yeah, I usually should have enough time to grab all of these wonderful things. It's probably a bad idea to use that. I don't see any lead access anywhere. I don't think the scavs will push me. Well, you never know. Scavs are so unpredictable in this game. I guess you should also do this. Move the items in your inventory. Afterlex was supposed to be under a white body bag. Or under a white... It's not under that one. I guess these are the civilians, or shouldn't be civilians here because this was the place of the big battle. You know what? Forget. Hits you in the face, obviously. Oh. I need to drink something. This is so bad. Where was that beer? I don't know. Okay, I think we'll die because we will not have enough time to extract, but we'll still play it. Yeah, again, it should be more about choosing your own playstyle and then playing you like. Heavy blade, right? Since when is that a thing? Yeah, they should have just made it unlimited time if they wanted to implement these interesting things. Also listening for scavs. Also, I haven't played the game in a few years, so I'm very, very rusty. Can you still search while bandaging? Well, of course you can, why not? It didn't work, you failed the operation, I guess you might even die. So weird, why? This is not really a tutorial or an introduction to the game, this is more like an easier extraction mission, but it's still pretty much the same, plus I need something to drink. They tell you about all of these wonderful things and then they don't give you enough time to explore or to search. Ooh, a humpback. They should give me some hydration, I think. Oh, Tarzan. I think that's my own character. Why did that? I guess that didn't stir any water, but hey, at least we are going to die on a full belly. You're joking me. Rat cola, yeah, that would probably have been a good item to keep. Hey, that's touching in the wrong way. Such a shame. This could have been such a good game overall, but it just ends up being flat. Interesting, right? Oh man, I just enjoy this game so much when you're just killing a random scav, getting a few weapons here and there. Delete that. That. I couldn't find the LEDX side. Post it. It's actually a pretty long extraction mission. Oh, I got blocked in this. I mean, the scavs can kill me at point blank, but somehow the first scav managed to hit me in the chest. You're not going to extract from your first mission unless you know specifically what it is. Oh, I guess this is it. What? That's so much nonsense. I mean, that scav hit me from an impossible distance in the chest 2 times, almost killing me. And then they couldn't kill me at point blank range, and I didn't find the... Weird, very weird gameplay. Again, they shouldn't have went for this variant. They should have just given you infinite time, in my opinion, to do everything you wanted on the first raid. Oh, so you're also starting at level 4, basically. What? Okay, let's see the new animations. Yeah, I don't care about the LEDX. It's probably going to be... There will be a lot of LEDXs found in raids. Did we have a secure container? I guess I forgot to look if we had one or not. Doesn't really matter. I guess you just get the experience, you don't get the loot out. Wait, this is weird. I thought you... What? So they modified that? How? I don't even know how to explain all of this. So basically you get a free LEDX that is found in raid, even though you don't get it from the body itself which was in the raid. I guess the developers understood they made a big mistake by doing it like this. They fixed it by giving everyone a free LEDX, but you loot for nothing in the first task. But at the same time you have to get as much experience as you can out. Wait. No, we are level 3 with... You keep... Whatever, you keep the experience but you don't keep the loot, so you're just better off putting stuff in your backpack and throwing it away. How would you know all of this? Our game. How? Okay, so let's meet the first character. What is the first task? Talk to Ragman and Therapist. I guess I should have listened to this one as well. You also just open items through this screen over here, which will show you the items themselves. Kind of cool. Kind of annoying, I guess.
Commander,
Oh, you have to be in that menu to listen to it. Bleh. Lame. Talk to Ragman, talk to Therapist. Middle mouse button to inspect immediately. Yeah, even... Oh, what is this? A lot? What is this? Key case, you get a key case. Interesting. So basically the developers fixed the... I mean, come on, they have worked on the game for so many years that they couldn't even get the first day of the game right with the servers, and then they had to release patches that modified everything to the start of the game. Why are you getting a LEDX as free loot? You are supposed to even... Keep calm, and I guess you could find the GPU in the raid as well. I think you should start with 0. If you are asking me, what is the point of having wipes? You should just start... This should be your loadout from the first level. You should have nothing in your stash. You should have no money. You should just have this loadout, because that's the full experience of the game. I mean, no, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of gear. Just go and play. This shouldn't be a thing, because this is a very high tier armor for the beginning of the game. Tier 4 armor. I don't know. I guess I have a lot of things I want to complain about, but you probably get the idea that... Why? Why do you go through so many hoops and boundaries when you could have just made it so that everyone starts with no equipment except for what they extract from that area with? Their pouch should have been unlocked maybe 2 or 3 levels later. In my opinion, you should start with no pouch nothing for a few raids as well. Or until you reach, let's say, until you reach level 10, you should have no gamma container whatsoever, even if you paid for it, because that would have been more fair. And then the game would have been extremely well balanced from the perspective of the early gameplay. But no, they just had to ruin everything by giving you the flea market, by giving you the secure containers, by giving you the free stuff based on the version you bought and you play with. Because if you don't have this version, you just get less items. You get a cat. I don't remember this either. But you get the MPX as well. Huh. Okay, so there's a button. I'm not sure how it is to speak with them in the... in a 3D environment. Ref is from Arena, but... Okay, let's not even talk about Ref and what he's doing over here. It just ties into the Arena mode, which again, nobody really likes that much. I also like the fact that you have fans from the beginning of the game. You can basically buy whatever else the other players didn't like, or the developers want you to buy. I think this is restricted. You cannot buy all of the junk items other people sell, because otherwise you'll see very high tier loot over here, and that's not really good, is it? You can buy a Desert Eagle for almost 70,000. Oh, that's going to be a fun item to buy. Yeah, buy a Desert Eagle. Good luck finding ammo for it, but if you refresh it enough times, you will buy the ammo for it as well. Yeah, I miss old Tarkov. I think a lot of people will agree with me on this one. No matter how much the community is split over certain design decisions and other stuff, we all miss the old Tarkov. That's what people will be saying all the time. We miss the old Tarkov. Is the old Tarkov, you might say? Well, nobody really can explain that, but we really miss the old Tarkov. We also have a hideout unlocked from the beginning of the game. I don't think you can do much in it. Shelter clogged with rubbish. So we start with stash at level 4, the other people have stash at level 1, I think. vision. Also have a lot of hideout customization options. Some of them will be based on the stuff you bought. Again, it's... I like this one. Okay, how do I go and speak with those weirdos? Operational side and story. So we'll have story missions, we'll have quest missions, we'll have a lot of stuff over here. Achievements don't really do anything from as much as I know, and you also have the prestige over here. You just get weird stuff, but to be honest, it's worth it. It's really worth it, especially because at tier 6 you get some cool stuff. Plus, like I keep saying, I want all of the content of the game. I don't want to play different types of games. I just want everything. You unlock charisma. At level 4 you unlock charisma, which... I don't know. This is just nonsense in my opinion. So basically, I think most people just, let's say, get to 4 prestige or something like that. If you will finish all of the prestige levels and you are a new player, you'll probably need thousands of hours to do this. But I think this will be worth it in the end, even though it's kind of annoying, but I think I'll go for the prestige system as well. I guess it depends on how much time I have to play. Now, how do I speak with those weirdos? I don't know. So we don't know how to go to the labs. We can only play Ground Zero for a big amount of time. And after playing Ground Zero for a lot of time, you'll be able to unlock customs and then factory. And then I think you unlock Ground Zero, probably streets or I don't know what, woods, factory, customs, and then you have interchange available already. Ground Zero. Interchange is a very bad map for the beginning of the game, as you can see. 10 to 14 players. And then you'll unlock reserve, lighthouse, shoreline, and terminal. Terminal, I think it's very hard to unlock. What does it say, boss? It's a solo map? What does it say, a boss? It might mean you always have a boss to fight over there, I'm not sure. Also don't seem to have a lot of access. Yeah, level 15 for flea market. Okay, how do I meet these guys? I can already talk to them. Why they're making things so different? Okay, I'll have to read somewhere how to meet therapist, otherwise I don't know how to do it. We couldn't even get this right. A visit button, you don't meet them now. That's so... This game seems primitive and very modern at the same time. I think it's mostly primitive if I look at it better. You have a visit button, but where is it? Oh, over there. That's such a... They could have just put an exclamation mark over it and it would have been easier to understand, but nope. They couldn't even do that.
Вы правильно сделали, что обратились ко мне. Я знаю людей, которые могли бы показать вам безопасные маршруты в городских кварталах. Но вы должны
Because they want to maintain the
понимать, что на
safe passages or the safe routes to evacuate civilians.
Разумеется, нет, молодой человек.
Yeah, of course.
Недавно один из маршрутов попал под...
What? So you have to...
Я рада, что вам оказалось не... Работа врачом всегда подразумевает... Кое-что найдется...
It's so annoying that you need to spend a lot of money just to do some quests in the beginning.
Кое-что найдется для вас.
This is not so good
К
in my opinion.
сожалению, пока ничего нет. Зайдите позже. До следующего раза.
I want to understand some of the things will also be gated to time missions, so we cannot advance all the time, every time. Ultra. I guess you can play with high shadows in Ultra, okay. What do you mean it cannot be on low? What is that? Oh, yeah, you can have that on low and high. I'll have to play around with the settings to see if I can play without any of the FSR. FSR feels pretty good. Well, good luck understanding what all of this does, right? I also have to restart my game. Wow, this is so much nonsense. Okay. Yeah, we'll spend a little more time looking at the settings and then we'll go and speak with Ragman. If you switch to the PvE mode, what does this mean? Should be instance. By the way, I think they're using different servers to host the map, so you're not actually playing the map yourself. You're playing a map that is hosted by the company. So in other words, you might think, well, I can run this map pretty well. No, you're not running the map itself. You're just playing the game on your own computer. When you're playing PvP mode, you're playing the game on a server. So that's why sometimes you'll not find the game that fast, because you need to have an empty server to play on. But on PvE mode, you can just play the game on your own computer, but it might mean you'll have a much worse performance, and I think in the future the developers will just cut off all support for the PvE mode, meaning you'll always have to play the game on your own computer, which will make it so much worse in terms of performance, which is already quite a bad game in terms of performance. You will see what I mean. Again, a lot of explanations are needed for stuff like this. Tasks. And oh no, don't turn in the red X. I guess let's visit Ragman as well. So many weird things. Who requested this? For what purpose? Why does it matter?
Обижаешь, Ахпер. У барахольщика ты все найдешь, что нужно. Хочешь броники, хочешь реально модный шмот, тебе подберем. Но ты же не просто так зашел, а? Эвакуироваться собрался, да? Много кто там выйти пытался. Но зашел ты правильно. Я тебя с нужными людьми сведу и дорогу покажу. Сделай только кое-что для меня сначала.
На лесочке рядом с Ультрой какой-то кипиш начался. Вроде даже техника была. Короче, надо проверить эти места. Свои все у меня уже заняты работой. Так что ты вовремя объявился.
Also, technically, you shouldn't have been able to speak with these NPCs unless you did something else, but I think they're just telling you are using safe passages to go and meet the NPCs. You're not actually going to the locations themselves. You're going through hubs around Tarkov, which have safe passages maintained by these NPCs, or something stupid like that, I don't know. But they could have made that in-game as well, and it would have been more interesting.
Больно ты шустрый, брат. Если инфу достанешь, так и покруче работу тебе найдем. Так что возвращайся, как осмотришься.
They just have to record that in a higher quality than the voice, okay.
Прости, брат, сейчас ничего нет.
Got any work?
Ты знал, что у нас в Таркове осталось полно коллекционеров? Иногда мне заказывают фигурки с анимешными девочками
Anime
в трусах.
girls.
И нет, я не скажу кто. Даже не проси.
It's too bad because yeah, the game has a lot of humor and personality, but it's all buried under a mountain of problems and stuff like that.
А я все ждал, как...
I guess you can trade with the Raven, but now I mostly will be using the Antar, so that means I will need max energy. Why the Antar? Well, it's the best armor you can use in the beginning of the game. This is basically toilet paper. I also like to wear a mask at all times.
Баксы-то с собой взять не забыл?
So if I...
Ну, выбирай, брат.
Come on. Why is that delayed?
Жду в другой раз тогда.
Nice guns and equipment. That's basically everything we can do. Also, notice how I have 0.20 reputation. Yeah, that's because... Wait, what is my... Yeah. As you can see, you get tier 2 items when you have 0.15 reputation, but you already get 0.20 if you buy this edition of the game, or Unheard edition, or I'm not sure what edition you need. I think this might be the lowest one, or the one that you get the reputation. So basically, if I just level up to 14, I don't need to do any quests. I just need to gather experience to get to level 15, and then I'll be able to buy level 2 item. I'll be able to access the tier 2 of almost all of the merchants, just because I paid more money. So this is a huge advantage, because it allows me to just focus on playing the game, doing my objectives without knowing them, which means I'll be keeping quest items for future quests. And yeah, it's such a huge advantage just having this extra reputation with the traders. So yeah, I think probably at around level 20 I'll probably be kind of able to make very good loadouts, and then the game will become much easier. Plus I'll do a lot of scav runs, I'll do a lot of cool stuff. I'll play more of the game, I'll do most of my raids with the PMC on camera probably, but there will be a lot of quests that will just annoy me to know. And well, that's Tarkov for you. I don't recommend it to anyone, but for anyone who's actually playing the game, what can I say? Good luck, and let's hope that BSG doesn't pull more magical stuff out of their socks, even though I'm pretty sure they'll mess up the game even more, because at this point they don't even care. They have made billions with this. Probably I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they probably have made $1 billion with the game already, and they're just making a lot of money under the table with other stuff like promotions, you know, selling keys to certain people and stuff like that. But let's just hope the game will not get worse. That's all I can say, because it will not get better. It's so uneven. It's like you're playing an MMORPG and you're just starting off with huge disadvantages because you didn't pay enough money. Anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.